We are here at the Roundup River Ranch with Dr. Todd Vermeer and Amy Batchelor, part of the medical team here at Roundup River Ranch. So, Dr. Vermeer, tell me a little bit about how you guys support the camp here and what you guys are doing with the kids.
So in every session, we have physician and nurse volunteers who come and join us, oftentimes specialists in whatever particular disease is the focus of a camp session. And Amy and I coordinate all of those folks and help provide care, help organize everything so that when the campers get here, we get all their medications lined up for the week and can deliver whatever care they need. And then both of us and all the volunteers are around to support our activities, make sure everything's safe so that when they're doing something like climbing the climbing wall, we have a nurse or a doctor there to make sure that if anything comes up, we can take care of it right there in place rather than having to have them come here to our medical center, which is available, but we try to keep everyone out of here if we can.
So speaking of the medical center here, what level of care are you guys able to provide, and how closely are you able to kind of monitor the various campers' conditions, Amy?
Yeah, our facility is able to handle, I would say, a pretty high level of care for kids if it's needed emergency-wise. We're in touch with local emergency departments and firefighters, paramedics, so they know that we're here, and we have a really great relationship with them. But as far as supporting the campers, we actually have our cabin nurses live in the cabins with them, so their cabin nurse is with them all the time, is with their cabin. So if anything were to come up as far as emergent, they're right there, as well as having all of their medications on standby with the nurses. They're all in the cabins with them. And so they actually have like a person right there at all times. So it feels very safe for them. Many of our campers are used to having quite close relationships with their nurses or physicians, and so it's comforting for them as well, and our parents when they drop off their kids. That can be really nerve-wracking. So they have lots of support here as far as medical goes.
And I would imagine that that's probably super encouraging for the parents when they drop their kids off. Like, it is a pretty remote location, but to have such attentive medical staff and to have such great care here is probably super relieving. Have you guys seen anything with the kids and how just like having that little bit of extra support kind of helps the kids kind of relax and let go?
Yeah, it's amazing for the kids and for the parents. You know, for the kids, we have a medical review process we go through for all of the campers, and we'll see notes from parents about how they tire out in the afternoon and will probably need a wheelchair because they can't walk very far. And we see these kids come and they hike down to the climbing wall and they do the whole ropes course with no slowing down and no need for a wheelchair. And it's wonderful to see because they just get in an environment where they're with other kids, they're doing it, they want to do it, and they're not being held back. And for the parents, I think one of the most powerful experiences I had this summer was right here where we're sitting, telling parents to turn off their glucose monitoring for their child. The child had an implanted glucose monitor that connects with the phone and gives alerts. And we took that over. We said, all right, I've got it on my phone, we've got it on the cabin nurse's phone, you turn it off because we've got this. And they were able to go have 4 or 5 days by themselves and not having to worry about the glucose monitor. That is a 10, 15, 20 times a day worry for that particular camper. And that's just such a wonderful gift to be able to give.
Yeah.
Such a wonderful gift to be able to give just in general here at Roundup River Ranch, and it wouldn't be possible without the medical team here. So how did you get involved, Amy, in just the program here and in this kind of care?
So we're part of the Serious Fun Children's Network. We are part of multiple camps throughout the country and the world. And I actually started my journey with Serious Fun in California at the Painted Turtle, which is another camp in a sister camp, as I like to call them. And then I have worked here in 2018, and I just came back onto site full-time recently. Yeah.
And what about you, Dr. Maria?
Well, my wife and I have been friends of camp for years and supporters, and my wife's served in a lot of volunteer capacity, including on the board. And when the medical director, who had been the founding medical director, stepped down last year, and I spoke with the folks here because I knew and said, I'd like to talk about that when it comes time, and they brought it to me when it got posted, and we talked through it and got very excited to get to be here and be a part of everything we do.
Awesome. Do you guys specialize in any particular illnesses, or do you have kind of like area of specialty, and is that something that happens within the Serious Fun Network, that various camps kind of specialize in particular regions of illness?
Yeah, so the way we do it, we break it down by weeks during the summer. So we have 6 summer sessions, and each one has a diagnosis-specific focus. So we have a week that focuses on cardiac disease, cancer and immune deficiencies, neurologic disorders. We have a week where it's a combination of asthma and celiac disease and things like that. And we then get we have specialist volunteers typically, mostly from the Front Range, but also some from other states who come in to spend those 5 or 6 days here. So we'll have the specialist in that particular disease area here. And then my background is emergency medicine, so I'm sort of a generalist and take care of whatever comes. But it's wonderful to have those specialists here. They do education for the staff. A lot of our summer staff, counselors and things, are college kids who are interested in medical careers, nursing careers, and so they get some educational talks out of that. And the docs love it because many of the docs who come to volunteer are seeing their patients here at camp, and it is just a wonderful experience for them to see them as kids as opposed to as patients. But then if they get sick, they know what to do for the particular issue. They can access their medical records. They can contact the other specialists who are caring for the kids and help us make a plan. We can't do much diagnostically here. We have very limited testing that we can do beyond basic infectious disease like strep and COVID and flu. But we have a lot of treatment we can provide. We are beneficiaries of a lot of gifts from Children's Hospital of Colorado. They give us a great deal of medication every year, so we have a lot of medications that you wouldn't normally have at home that are not over the counter, but because I, as a physician, Amy's actually a nurse practitioner as well, we can decide, yep, we need to give you this, we have it. If a camper shows up and doesn't have one of their medications, we may have it already, or we have some donor support to get it for the patient. We partner with our local pharmacies, Vail Health and City Market rather, and they'll get it for us. And so there's a lot we can do.
I would imagine that you guys have a pretty close working relationship, both with Vail Health and the Colorado Children's Hospital. Amy, do you want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, so a lot of our specialists, like Todd was saying, do bring their own kiddos here. And what a great environment to have them here, because they only see them in a clinic setting. So they've put a lot of visits, work into them, and then they get to see them like outside of the hospital. They get to see them, and nurses as well. And so we do have a close bond with Children's Hospital of Colorado, as well as other hospitals within our region. We also serve 11 states total that we can. However, like right here in the Front Range, we are able to support Denver locations and out here through those hospitals.
So speaking of the 11 states that you guys serve, is that sort of like a regional designation that like Roundup River Ranch has a region that they cover as part of the Serious Fun Network? Or you guys have like a system of illnesses that you kind of focus on, that kids from all over the country come to this location because of their particular illness?
It's more the regional delineation that the camps agree to through Serious Fun, and there is some overlap with that. But most of the camps serve a wide variety of diseases. There's a whole set of typical identified diagnoses that Serious Fun focuses on, and it tends to be things that are, more long-term challenging, require constant medication, constant monitoring. And one of the goals we have is to be able to provide a normal camp experience for kids who can't go to other camps. Every camp has a nurse providing medication, but we're providing chemotherapy, we're providing immunosuppressant medications, and watching for the side effects of that. We have nurses who are in the cabin who are helping kids who require an hour of care to have a bowel movement every day, and we're able to do that, and then get those kids up on the zip line an hour later. So we are always trying to reach out to families and kids who don't have other options and may not even know this option exists. And the transformation you see in kids who've never been to camp, or who maybe went to camp years ago but then they've been dealing with their illness, it's really magical how they just blossom here, make friends, and an important part of it is they get to know other people who are on their same journey. We're heading into a family camp weekend this weekend for specifically around epilepsy. And for a lot of the parents who will be here, it'll be their first time to hang out with other parents who have kids with similar challenges and maybe new diagnoses or maybe 10 years in, and share those stories and feel that community that is hard to find out in the world because, though we see lots, they're few and far between oftentimes in the general population. So.
Well, and that's got to be such a great experience for the families and for the kids. But before I let you guys go, I've got two more questions for you. First one being, does the altitude make a big difference in standard of care? I mean, we aren't really at a low elevation here. We're probably at, 6-ish thousand feet, give or take?
63. Yep, we're at 6,300. It can make a difference, depending again on the diagnosis. So we do, like Todd said, we do serve different diagnoses, and what we do is we accommodate for that. So we serve sickle cell disease, and we also serve kiddos who might need oxygen in a cardiac disease, and so they may need more while they're here at this altitude. Most of the time, if they're traveling from Denver or even from like potentially another state that is much lower, it's really going over the passes to get here that can really be a little more of the issues. Once people are here though, we're able to manage all of those things too, because of donors, and they have donated medical equipment and things like that, so we can have oxygen in the cabin. Everything is universal here, accessibly, and so they can take that oxygen tank portably up the zip line and go on down with it, no problem. I think one of the greatest things is, like Todd was mentioning, is how these kids blossom. There is this concept that I like to call the Me Too feeling. When a kid meets another kid that has either gone through the same journey as them or has something similar to them, maybe that's a medical device, maybe they both have the same diagnoses. I know this summer I just walked by these two 12-year-old boys. They're just sitting on the grass reading, and one of them just looked at the other one and they're like, oh, what kind of like cancer did you have? And he said the exact same thing that he did, and they both like paused and also just smiled and then went back to reading and like playing. It was like not a big deal, but it also, you could tell they had to pause to be like, oh my gosh, there's someone the same as me. Their family members, their school, like they don't always have that opportunity, and it's so powerful to know that they're not alone. It just changes everything.
It's absolutely incredible, and it's so great that you guys are here, and such an amazing organization. If anybody was watching us who perhaps had medical training or was interested in getting involved in volunteering for your program, how could they reach out to you guys, and what's the process in getting involved in the medical side of volunteering here at Roundup River Ranch?
It's similar to any volunteer opportunities we have here. It's an application through our website initially, and then that then sends them to interview with either Amy or myself, and we do that online just as a Zoom interview to get to know them and find out what their interest is, what their background is. And we have a wide range of opportunities. I mean, throughout camp there's lots of volunteering, but for specifically physicians, nurses, nurse practitioners, PAs, we love having them come, and sometimes it's people who are very focused specifically in the disease, and a lot of those folks come from the Front Range, from Children's and Rocky Mountain Hospital for kids, and we've got a lot of folks who've been involved for a long time, but then we're getting newer people as well who are just coming out of their training or in their training, but really the easiest way is to start on the website, and then it comes to us to get in touch and get to know them and learn more about them and let them learn more about camp and what our opportunities are like.
Awesome. And that website is roundupriverranch.org, right?
Yep.
Awesome. Dr. Todd Vermeer, Amy Batchelor, thank you guys so much for joining us. I know you guys have a lot to get ready for Family Week, but thank you so much for taking the time to talk to us.
Thank you.